into Living Well on PHTV Channel 4. I'm Karen Town, and today we are fortunate to have a registered dietitian back with us, Kelly Devine, who is going to share some exciting recipes that we can use through the holidays. They are really nice because they've got some healthy aspects to them. They can be made in advance, which is always important this busy time of year. And we're going to just like hop right in. So you're making a holiday cheese ball for us, and then also a cranberry jalapeno dip.
Yep.
So what's first? And let's get started.
Let's get started on the cranberry. This is a family favorite. My cousin's made this the last few Christmases, and it's been a huge hit. Cranberries is nice because it's a little extra dose of fiber and vitamin C. Also has some heart healthy benefits, so it kind of jazzes up any other cream cheese appetizer I've made in the past. Like I said, everyone's enjoyed it. So, and like Karen said, you can make it in advance. The first ingredient is the cream cheese, and as we all know, it takes a while for the cream cheese to soften. So usually before I start chopping any vegetables, I'll leave the cream cheese out, for at least a half an hour to soften it to layer in a pan. I do like using reduced fat just to cut down on the calories a little bit and the saturated fat. So Philly or really any name brand cream cheese will be 1/3 less fat or reduced fat, and it calls for 2 of them. So that will
you're not really mixing anything into that. That's just straight
just your
cream cheese
base layer.
Okay.
Which really I could just use that and some crackers, but we have to do the healthy stuff on top. The next ingredients, it's super simple, which is why I like this recipe. So green onions, a jalapeno, some cilantro, 1 full package of fresh cranberries, 12 ounces, so this uses the whole package, and just a little bit of cumin. All goes into chopped up first, and then into a food processor, and then into the bowl to mix up. I will say food processor is more labor intensive and has more parts to clean, and I like quick and easy. So if you have one of those smaller BlendJet blenders that you could use, I just pulsed all of these ingredients at once, did a few batches, and then we had less cleanup. So in this jar here has the 12 ounces of already pulsed cranberries, a tablespoon of our cumin. You have to make sure to DC the jalapeno, or else you're going to have a very fiery cream cheese dip at the holidays, and we don't want that.
So is that about the size jalapeno you would recommend?
Yes. Okay. So I usually cut it, scrape out all the seeds, wash it, and then I'll chop it up. So the green onions, the cilantro, and the jalapeno I chop up first, then throw into the blender or the processor. Then I'll do the cranberries just because I probably had to do 5 batches of them in the smaller BlendJet. And then we mixed them all together, and I usually throw in a little dash of lemon juice to lighten it up. This recipe does call for a full cup of sugar. I like to lower the sugar in the recipe, so I start with half and then do like a little taste test before I throw the mixture on.
And could you use like something like Splenda or something if you didn't want to have actual sugar in the recipe?
Yes, I usually will use Splenda over all the other sweeteners. Honey is also another option, although I feel like that would make it a little
liquidy.
Yeah. The Splenda, remember, is a lot more sweet than actual sugar. So if the recipe calls for 1 cup of sugar, I would probably start with like a 1/4 cup. And then kind of taste it, because you don't want the sugar to overpower kind of like the sweet and hotness from the jalapenos.
Kind of trying to balance that spicy with the sweet.
Yeah. So the only thing I didn't add in last night when I was prepping was our cilantro here. So you can finely slice your cilantro and just throw it in there. You could also slice this with all the other ingredients and throw it in the food processor. It's up to you. I love cilantro, but not
so good.
but not everybody loves cilantro like I do. So I tend to err a little bit on the lower side if I'm bringing it for a larger family audience. If it's for like me or for like a Super Bowl dip, then I load up on the cilantro. So we're going to throw that last bit in. It usually calls for a 1/4 cup. I'm erring a little bit on the lower side here. So we're going to mix this nice dish up here and see how pretty and festive the colors are. So you have the green and the red for your holiday parties.
And the lemon juice is already in there as well?
Now I'm going to throw a
Or you
little
gonna put more?
squeeze of it over. And also this obviously will, if you plate it, my cousin has a very adorable Christmas platter that she uses for the crackers and this dip, so it makes it even more festive looking.
Nice.
So then it's super easy. We're just going to take our dish here, pour it right on top. Oh, this looks yummy. And then we're going to spread that nice and even all around. Look at that festive dip. Full of vitamin C and fiber.
Oh, okay, because the cranberries have that, and that's, I was just gonna say that we always think of cranberries just being for the holidays, which is an awesome thing to bring to a holiday party or something. But really, you could make this relish, like with serve it with fresh vegetables or whatever year round.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
you do have to usually grab those cranberries now and freeze them,
Right.
so because it's hard to find. But I think that you could bring this year round. I mean,
Yeah,
it definitely has
absolutely.
that festive look, but.
Everyone
and-
loves a good cream cheese dip, so
Oh,
you
for
can bring it
sure.
to any party. I like pairing it with whole grain crackers, again, to increase the fiber. Wheat thins are always an easy go-to. You can find those anywhere. Anything that will have multi-grain or higher fiber on there. If you're looking at the food label, I usually will shoot for like at least 2 or 3 grams of fiber or more. A gluten-free alternative is Simple Mills. They have a lot of different variety crackers that are gluten-free. I have a few family members that are gluten-free, so I always try to mix, the crackers up. And then essentially, the cream cheese kind of hardens up a little bit, so I put it in the refrigerator and then take it out about a half an hour before serving, just so it softens up again, so it's easier to dip those crackers.
And also, I bet if somebody wanted to avoid the crackers altogether, you could serve some fresh vegetables on the
Yeah,
side, celery
absolutely.
or whatever, to make it another even healthier kind of option. So
Absolutely.
awesome. Well, it smells delicious, and I can't wait till we can try. I love
too.
cranberries, and
I haven't had this since Christmas.
it's a really nice balance of the spicy and sweet. And then the cream cheese, just, everything's better with cream cheese, right? But it just has that really balanced flavor that I think almost everyone would like.
Yeah,
It's really
that'll be
good.
a hit.
You won't be taking leftovers in that home. So I think we're going to move on to our next recipe, which is a nutty holiday cheese ball.
Yep.
So that should be really cool too.
Thanks.
Okay, so Kelly, you're going to do a nutty cheese ball for us next, and this sounds like another thing that you can do a lot of it in advance.
Absolutely.
That everybody will be excited because it's got cheese, and everybody loves cheese. So let's see.
Well, you could buy cheese balls now anywhere at any of the stores, but I like this one because it incorporates a little bit more nutrition, and we get some red and green in there for the holidays. This is actually a recipe I started making when I was a grad student at Eastern, so it has been a party favorite for a while. My dietitian, Kim Kramer, gave me the recipe, and we've been making it ever since. Very, very, very easy recipe. So it calls for cream cheese, a spreadable sharp cheddar, and again, I do recommend buying the either reduced fat or the 1/3 less fat, just to kind of cut down on the calories. You need a red pepper, green pepper, and onion. It only calls for 2 tablespoons of each, but I usually ramp it up a little bit more than that. And then either some lemon juice or lime juice if you want, some good old Worcestershire sauce, and only about a tablespoon, and then mix it all up. So typically I'll start the recipe by softening up the cheeses for about a half an hour, and then we kind of just mix them all into the bowl. So in here we have a full brick of the cream cheese, we have the spreadable cheddar, we have the sauce, a little bit of juice, and the peppers and the onion.
And then you've got some cereal. Are you going to do something with
Well,
that?
this is where the more higher fiber part comes in. Typically, it's covered in nuts, which then kicks up your calories a lot with any of the cheese balls. So instead, we're rolling it in grape nuts, which is about 7 grams of fiber a serving. So it'll, again, kick up the fiber. So what we'll be doing here is
So I'm just going to move that out of the way so
Yep.
that everybody can see what you're doing a little
Yep.
bit better.
So we're gonna pour your grape nuts, and this is the messy part. If you have kids at home, they typically are a big fan of helping with this. Make everyone wash their hands first, or like I'm gonna be using, if you have some gloves on hand, I'd put those on. Because like I said, this is gets to be the messy part. But essentially, we're gonna take our cheese ball and roll it in the grape nuts. Now, what I typically do, because the cream cheese is so soft after we get it going, that I put it back in the refrigerator in a sheet of tin foil for about, I don't know, like an hour. So it gets a little bit harder and easy to manipulate. After you mix all these ingredients with the mixer, it warms up and it's almost like gooey.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And then it's going to be so sticky, it'll be hard to roll.
Yes, and then everyone's hands are just covered in and cheese. Not that it's a
The
bad
kids
thing.
don't mind that, but yeah.
Right? Like I said, I've made this with both my son and my daughter, and they both enjoy it. All right, so let me just dig into our lovely cheese ball here. So typically I'll just kind of plop it down and kind of start covering it with the grape nuts as much as we can. And then kind of mixing it around so we get that lovely cheese ball.
So one thing that I think is really cool about this recipe is you call it, it's a nutty cheese ball, but
Right.
it's really not nuts. You're using grape nuts. So
Yep.
that's cutting down on the fat, and
Yep.
it's also
And calories and upping the fiber.
Upping the fiber, which I
Yep.
thought was because I feel like so many appetizers really don't have fiber. So
No.
I was excited when I saw this, that I thought
And,
that was a really unique part of it.
And when you're dipping in here, then you get the colors of the red and green. So it's kind of a pretty
Yeah.
dish once people start dipping into it. And then if you want to grab a plate, then
I'll
usually
take that away from you.
voila. Then we have our lovely nutty cheese ball, and again, you could pair it with a bunch of different type of crackers. I usually will do anything high fiber, wheat thins, Triscuits, gluten-free or regular is fine. I usually just look at the package and pick the ones that are a little bit higher in fiber.
So once you have the grape nuts on it and you've shaped it into your ball, is that when you serve it, or does it have to go back into
You
the
could serve that
refrigerator for a while?
right away, but typically I don't like doing this part right before family comes over. So I'll usually put it in a covered dish. Typically I'm bringing it to a party. So I'll just cover it. And then again, I would take it out 20 minutes ahead of time
Okay,
just
that's
so
what I
it
was gonna ask,
softens.
how long you had to leave it out.
Because you don't want all those crackers just breaking in that hard cream cheese.
Yeah. So do people notice that they're grape nuts instead of nuts?
That's my favorite question. Typically, of any recipe that I bring to a party, it's typically like lower sugar, reduced fat, higher fiber. No one ever says anything. They're
okay.
always saying, "Oh my gosh, this is so wonderful. Give me the recipe." I usually don't tell them until after they try anything that I substituted an ingredient. Because if I told them beforehand it was grape nuts, they would say, "Ew."
They would assume they wouldn't like
Yeah,
it.
but they try it, they like it, and then I'm like, "Hey, guess what?" And they're like, "I never would have thought of that."
Yeah,
So,
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, and so just in general, like, do you try to find ways that you can swap things out when you see a recipe and it would be popular, but you also think, oh, I might be able to fix this up a little. Like,
typically, any recipe you can modify by lowering the fat or the sugar. So usually with fat, I just buy products that are reduced fat, 1/3 less fat, and a lot of appetizers will have cheese as like an ingredient, so it's an easy way to cut down the fat. Same thing with sugars. I typically just use less of it, or I have substituted Splenda in some dishes. So whether you're making like a dinner meal or like an holiday app, I'll search healthy appetizers, but then I also can just modify a regular recipe. I do like serving like the Christmas tree, like wreaths with some healthy dips, but I feel like everybody brings a veggie tray to a party, so I like doing something a little bit
different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Well, I'm kind of curious what those grape nuts taste like. All right, I'm really excited to try this because I actually love grape nuts, and I think I've never thought about using it as a replacement for nuts on something like this.
Good stuff.
You know, it's really good. You can definitely taste the peppers in there. And I feel like the grape nuts give it a really nice crunch, maybe even better than your, standard nut somebody would roll this in.
Absolutely.
And also, I was reading that one serving, so a tablespoon, is a gram of fiber. So that is really a nice addition to have that healthy sneak in that healthy fiber.
Yeah, most people don't even know they're getting something healthier at the
it's
holidays.
delicious. Well, I'll be taking that home with me as well. But Kelly, thank you so much for giving us a couple of quick ideas for appetizers that we can bring to our holiday parties in the upcoming weeks. I do want to be sure that I give a shout out to Moraine Valley Community College for letting us work in their demo kitchen, which is part of the culinary arts program at the college. If you are interested in that program at all, you can find information about that on their website. And I want to thank all of you for tuning in today to PHTV4's Living Well. And from everybody at the station, we wish you a happy holidays.